Have you ever studied for hours only to forget everything? The sleepless nights, the all-nighters fueled by that heavily caffeinated coffee, the endless note flipping, and so your mind goes blank in the exam when the retrieval of that information or knowledge matters the most. You are not alone. It once happened to me, and my friends have confided in me regarding the same issue. But what if I told you that there was this one brain hack scientists swear by? No fancy or premium apps, no 5 a.m. routines, just a simple trick to lock knowledge into your brain forever. Stick around in 10 minutes and you will never waste another study session again. And hey, if you've ever cried over a textbook, then this one is especially for you. So, why does your brain betray you after all that studying? Let's blame it on a 19th century German psychologist called Hermann Ebbinghaus. Ebbinghaus discovered something brutal. In the year 1885, Hermann Ebbinghaus studied his own memory. He wanted to know how quickly he forgot new information. This experiment involved learning new information and giving himself tests after different periods to see how much he forgot each time and as the time goes by. The result is called the forgetting curve. So, on the curve, we have memory or the information learned as the y-axis plotted against the different times in days Ebbinghaus tried to remember the information and the corresponding forgetting curves. Let us analyze the curve together. You see, when we first learn something, we forget the fastest in the first 24 hours. Up to 70% of the information is lost. You see the steep initial decline in retention, and then we forget more and more, but the speed slows down over time. After about 6 days, we have forgotten most of the information. If we revise the information after the first day, we make the memory stronger and we slow down the speed of forgetting. If we revise again and again, the information gets very well reinforced into our brain, and eventually we can live longer and longer periods of time between revisions. The only reason why you can still remember your nursery rhymes is because you used to sing them every single day. Even when you were in the house after school, you would sing them and might even challenge your friends to sing them too. And in the night, when you go to bed, you would keep ringing in your head throughout the night. It is obsession, baby. In essence, the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve shows how quickly we forget information over time if we make no attempt to retain it. Time is not the only thing that makes us forget something. If we are tired or under stressed, we forget faster. If the information was difficult to understand, we will forget it faster too. But things that are important, like very important or meaningful to us, are easier to remember. But here is the good news. Ebbinghaus also found the fix. It is not about studying harder, it is about studying smarter, and that starts with active recall. Active recall isn't just a method of studying, it is a way of testing. Think of your brain as a Google search bar. You will agree with me that typing questions is better than just staring at the home page. Our brains are like muscles. If you want to develop them, then you have to repeatedly expose it to some form of stress. Do the heavy lifting, bro. This is why at first it feels uncomfortable asking yourself questions and try to answer them after studying for some time. But just as the muscle develops with time and with consistent effort, your memory too develops with active recall and spaced repetition. You see that in the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve, the curve was less steep with more revision as the days went by. In the year 2011, a study was conducted by Jeffrey D. Karpicki and General R. Blunt on some college students. The purpose of the study was to compare the effectiveness of active recall versus passive methods like rereading, concept mapping. They divided the college students into four groups and asked them to learn scientific text passages about topics like tribbles, which is a fictional biology concept, and sea otters. So the college students were split into four study conditions. One, the study, and this particular group were only supposed to read the text repeatedly. Two, the study concept map, and this set of students would read the text and then create concept maps, which is a popular elaborative study method, especially back then. And three, the third group, the retrieval practice group, and they were tasked to read the text once and then practice recalling as much as possible without notes. And the last group was the retrieval practice concept map, and they combined retrieval practice and concept mapping. 1 week later, They made the students take two types of tests, and that included verbatim questions, which tested straightforward factual recall, and reference questions, which are the complex application-based questions requiring deeper understanding. At the end of it all, the following were the results. Students in the retrieval practice group outperformed all the other groups, including those who use concept mapping. The retrieval practice group scored 50% higher on verbatim questions and 70% higher on inference questions compared to the passive method groups. You know, before they took the exam, something really funny happened. They asked the students to predict their performance, and funny enough, the students in the retrieval practice group thought they would do worse than the concept mappers. At the end of the day, reality proved otherwise, and the group that combined the methods couldn't even perform better than the retrieval practice group. The active recall alone was sufficient. So, why is this even a thing? Why did they conduct this study? You see, at the time, educators heavily promoted concept mapping as a deeper learning strategy. This study proved that retrieving information from memory by using active recall was far more effective even for complex understanding. The study also highlighted that students oftentimes use ineffective strategies like rereading, highlighting, because they feel productive, while active recall feels harder, which is actually the superior game changer. Now, I tell you why active recall works. Retrieving information forces the brain to rebuild and stabilize neural pathways, making memories more durable. You see, the thing is that when you learn something for the first time, it gets stored in your short-term memory, which starts to get lost within seconds to minutes. With repeated exposure to the information, then the information is going to be transferred to your working memory, aka the long-term memory. It does take time and consistent efforts for the information to get solidified in your long-term memory. Another great thing about active recall is that it helps you to identify your knowledge gaps and address them accordingly. When you are struggling to recall the text, it will expose what you don't know, allowing targeted review. And the more the struggle, the better the reinforcement. To use the active recall, you can make use of flashcards, and Anki is a great tool for that. You can also practice answering of exam questions or do the blank retrieval method, where you have a blank sheet of paper and after learning, you write everything that you can remember about what you just learned. One of my favorite ways of using active recall is by answering past questions, and I prefer this because of two reasons. One, it helps to reinforce my memory on the concept, and two, it points me in the right direction in the perspective of the exam. It pre-exposes me to what my exam questions might look like and how my examiners think in their way of framing their questions. I get to see how one question can be asked in different ways. Another other bonus benefit is that it gives you a clue on what is important for the exam and things which are high yield, so that the next time I'm probably going through my text, I wouldn't waste time on certain things that much. You know, when I got admission to the medical school, the university had us went for a medical checkup. There, I met a doctor, a senior colleague of mine, whose advice would help me in the medical school. He advised that I always start going through all the past school I could possibly find 2 weeks prior to my exam, and that I shouldn't wait until last minute to do so. That was very helpful to me as someone who was just a fresher. Alright guys, that's pretty much it. If you have watched this video up to this point, then I'm convinced you found it informative and helpful. How about you like the video, comment, subscribe, and share it with your colleagues. It helps the channel to grow and motivates me to keep going. Thank you, and come back anytime soon for more study tips and productivity hacks. My name is Javel and I am that guy. Bye.